All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rob Drapcho. I serve as Director of Enrollment Management for the Firelands campus. Welcome to the virtual orientation for the Firelands campus for the fall 2025 semester. A handful of you are in the process of logging in right now, so we'll give everyone a few minutes to get settled in and get logged in. Again, super excited and thrilled to be able to have you today. We'll get started here in just a moment once we get everybody a chance to get themselves logged in. We're grateful for you to be here today. We hope that you're enjoying the sunny weather in the same way that we are here today and have been over the course of these last few days and weeks, frankly, in Huron. So, as it's coming up here in just a few moments, we'll get started. We'll run through a few slides and some things that we want to make sure that we have available for you as part of our conversation today. But again, thank you all so much for coming today. We're excited to be able to play host to you. So, as I shared, as a number of you were logging in, my name is Rob Drapcho. I have the privilege of serving as Director of Enrollment Management for the Firelands campus. So I, in coordination with the campus community at BGSU Firelands, work together to help. We hope to introduce you to the university, prepare you to start here at BGSU Firelands, and ultimately to make sure that you have the information that you need for a healthy and good start in your journey at BGSU. We are excited and thrilled to be able to have you on campus and a student here at the university this upcoming fall. We recognize that for you, on campus may mean a number of different things. It may be physically taking classes on our campus in Huron. It may be taking courses that are originating from our campus, but that you're taking from the convenience of your home or your work or anywhere else that you might be taking an online class or classes while you are here at BGSU Firelands. We've got some prepared remarks for you today. I bet that we run about 30 minutes or so in our conversation. You'll have the opportunity to be able to kind of interact through various aspects of the conversation. We'll make sure that my contact information is on the screen before we wrap up as well. Excuse me, for any follow-up questions that you have. If you take anything away from our conversation today, I hope that you know that this is not your only chance to interact with our campus and with the team that's here to be able to support you. This is meant to be an interactive experience for us to be able to share some information with you and to relay what we think are really important aspects of making sure that you're successful at BGSU. But again, not your only chance, not your only opportunity to talk with us about things that are on your mind. So as we get started, just to kind of preview some of the different things that we're going to talk about today, and really we've tried to frame it in kind of one of 5 different sections here. And I'll give you a little bit of a sneak preview that if you follow that QR code that's there on the screen, it links to a website that has a lot of this information. So we recognize that for some of you, you may be attending this session from any number of different devices or any number of different locations, and it may not be the most conducive for you to be scribbling down notes as we go. Just know that the website that's on that QR code is really a good central place for you, and we'll share this link with you later. But just know that it's here to be able to help to support you along the way. As it says here on the screen, though, of the 5 things, this by no means is exhaustive, right? This is not everything you could ever need to know about being a student at BGSU or on the Firelands campus, but we hope that there are starting points that can help to give you a little bit of a preview as to what it means to be a student here at the university. So with all that said, let's dive right in, and we'll start off by talking about technology support and some of the different resources that can help you to navigate the university systems. What I have here on the screen are what I'm referring to as kind of frequently used resources that you'll use at BGSU. And I highlighted that top one, the My BGSU account. And as I've described it there on the screen, this is functionally your hub for all BGSU platforms. So everything else that is listed here on the screen and any number of other things that you may access while you're here at the university, you are going to be able to find through accessing your My BGSU account. I know that many of you are familiar with this or are becoming more familiar with this as you get settled in with your BGSU experience. Again, functionally knowing that if you go to your My BGSU account, you can start there and go almost anywhere, right? And that's going to be the piece that's maybe most important for you or most available to you. taking a look at your My BGSU account, if you're on the university's homepage, it will be in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. It'll say My BGSU, and you'll follow that. You'll use your BGSU account, your username, and your password to log into that account. We've identified a handful of different platforms that are here, and just to run through a few of them here to make sure that we're comfortable and familiar with them. Your Alert BG account, that functionally is the resource or tool that helps us to make sure that we are communicating with you for any time-sensitive notification. So if there's a weather event that may cause classes to be delayed or postponed, we would share that with you. If there's anything else that's time-sensitive about changes in the hours of operations for the campus or areas of campus that we may need you to be mindful of, we would certainly want to communicate with you communicate with you through that to some different means. And we'll talk about those here in just a few minutes. Your student center, as it notes there on the screen, that is where your kind of business of the university is. So your class schedule is listed there. Your student financial aid offer is listed there. Your student account is listed there. It's where you'll register for classes. It's where you'd add classes. It's where you'd remove classes if you determined that you weren't going to take a class. Functionally, if you think of it as kind of being like a piece of business for the university that's tied to your student record, it's going to be in your student center. Canvas, the third list that you see that's listed there, that is what we refer to as our learning management software, or kind of think of it as the place where any of the content around your course is loaded. So for individuals who are coming maybe recently from another classroom, you may have used something like PowerSchool in your school. You may have used something like Blackboard. Others may have used Google Classroom. Canvas is very similar to that. It's BGSU's equivalent to that, and it's the resource in the tool where we'll host your classes. For students who are taking a class that's online, this will be fundamental and paramount to your experience. You'll be accessing all of your course content via Canvas. For those of you who are taking any classes that are in person as well, you'll probably still use Canvas in various capacities. Many instructors may ask that course assignments are submitted via Canvas so that there's an electronic kind of digital receipt of your submitting them. Oftentimes other information related to the course and learning experiences and syllabus, for instance, are posted in Canvas. Navigate, you'll see there is the fourth one. This is really your resource and tool for helping with students with academic support. So if you need to set up a time to meet with your academic advisor, if you're looking to try to set up time for academic support like tutoring, you'll use Navigate as that resource. And again, all of these are available through your My BGSU hub. So just go into the My BGSU account as the starting point for all of these. Office 365 is Microsoft's technology suite. It's available to all students who are enrolled at the university. It's available to you as part of your enrollment at BGSU. It is also where you'll find your BGSU email address, and then the regular kind of suite of tools like Microsoft Office Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And then, as we noted there, your BGSU email. And then last but not least, your BG1 card. This is your official university student ID. So you are eligible as a enrolled student to receive this ID card, and you can do so in person on either campus, the Bowling Green campus or the Firelands campus, and our team can help to make sure that you get that completed and have that card so that you can be a card-carrying member of the BGSU community. We talked about all of these, and I just want to share kind of a copy of the screen there so you can see this. So this is an example of your My BGSU page. If you log on this, you should see something pretty similar to this. And as you look at the different columns and look at the different sections, you'll see some of the ones that we referenced already. So in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see your student center. That's where it lists, for instance, we talked about where your classes are, any actions that you need to take that are related to your student record. I see just below that, I see Navigate, which has shows the example of being able to reach out to your advisor to schedule academic scholarships, or excuse me, to schedule academic support along the way. I see Alert BG in the left-hand column. So Canvas is up in the upper right-hand corner. So as you'll see, all of these things that you're looking for are all found here in this central location for you. All right. And then we talked a little bit about Alert BG for a moment, and I want to spend a bit more time talking about this to note two aspects of it. By default, you are opted in to receive BGSU Alert BG messages, but I would ask you to take the time to check to ensure that, one, the contact information is correct. In the event, for instance, you've updated your phone number in the time since you had initially applied to the university or ultimately enrolled in the university. And then second, I'd want to make sure that you spent time to verify on that bottom section of the screen. You'll see there's a toggle button to receive Firelands messages. And you want to make sure that that's toggled on. So we want to make sure that in the event that there's any communication that is specific to the Firelands campus, especially weather-related closings, it's important to make sure that the receive Firelands messages is toggled on to ensure that you're getting that information that's very specific to the Firelands campus. All right. So, in the interest of time, let's keep moving along. And the second thing that I want to spend some time talking about is investing in your education. And there's a couple different things that we want to make sure that you do here, and ensuring that you're taking the time to utilize all of the resources that are available to you. First things first, it's important to know that the free application for federal student aid, oftentimes referred to as the FAFSA, it's available now. It is not too late to file the FAFSA, but if you as a student have not yet done so, we'd want you to move with the utmost urgency to ensure that we're giving you all of the resources and tools to support your enrollment by making available to you all offers and opportunities of financial aid that may be available through state, federal, and local and institutional funds. For all students coming to BGSU for the fall semester, when registered, the first charges were viewable in early July. We asked for all students to be in good standing by August 1st. If you were registered by August, we should see that on your account. For some of you, I know that you're registering a little bit later, and we'll talk with you a little bit more individually about what that timeline is for your payment. But similar to kind of my first opening comments and remarks, if nothing else from this conversation, know that we're here to help, right? So your offer of aid, your investment in your education is unique to you, and it's yours and yours alone. So I'm never in this forum going to be able to walk through in the kind of intricate level of detail about what it means to be your unique circumstances relative to investing in your education. But by gosh, the team's here to be able to help to support you along the way. All right. So let's talk a little bit about receiving your financial aid and preparing to receive your financial aid. And to do that, I want to kind of harken back to what we talked about before. You'll review your financial aid offer in your student center. And as you might remember, your student center is accessible through your My BGSU account. I took a screenshot here of a student just to use as an example. And in this student, as you can see on that screenshot of the student center, you'll see that there's 2 to-do list items and there's 1 hold. In those instances, we want to make sure that you are completing any of those things that we're asking for from you in order to make sure that we're helping to support you. So in this particular case, and I'm going to use this student as an example, the 2 to-do list items that the student had were related to completing the master promissory note and entrance loan counseling in order for a student to take advantage of any direct student loans that were available through the U.S. Department of Education to help to support that BGSU education. In this particular case for that student, if the student didn't do those 2 to-do list items, we would not be able to release the funds of that direct student loan to help to pay for the student's education. And then in the hold section, a hold example, for instance, would be that we might be missing a final transcript. And if that's the case, then we wouldn't be able to release any federal aid until we received that final transcript from the institution where you most recently attended. So to use as an example, perhaps you applied to BGSU Firelands early this calendar year, let's say maybe January or February of this year. At the time in which you applied, you may have still been enrolled in some classes, right? You may have either been finishing your high school education, or maybe you were enrolled as a student in post-secondary education elsewhere. Likely you didn't then have a final transcript, right? Because at that point, we didn't yet have that from you because you were still taking classes. So federal regulation requires us to get that final transcript oftentimes in order for us to be able to release any federal aid. So be mindful of that, please. And as we think about the best ways to ensure that you're receiving your aid, as we have here on the screen, if we ask you for something, we need it for a reason. I say this with humility. I say this with respect and sincerity, that we we as an institution are just as disinterested in requesting from you information beyond what we've already asked as you are in giving it to us. So we're only going to ask you for information if we need it. So please be mindful of that. Oftentimes, the request is not actually from BGSU, but it's requesting information that the U.S. Department of Education has required that we collect from you, and we are just really the intermediary there, collecting that information and sharing it with you. And we want you to do well in classes, right? I know that this is fundamental and makes sense, but if you anticipate during an academic semester that for some reason you may not be doing as well as you expected, or something might be different than what you were expecting, keep us posted. One of the benefits of our campus is the close connectedness between student support offices and teams. So typically, if you're sharing with us concerns that you have either in your class or with your academic advisor, we as an aid team usually have the opportunity to start to learn a little bit more about that. But there's no harm in keeping us posted to make sure that we're able to share with you any projections about what that might mean relative to any type of aid that you might be already receiving or in line to receive in future academic terms. And then, we talked a little bit about your academics and student record and how registering for classes will ultimately generate charges posted to your student account. Ultimately, then, we need you to reconcile your account, right? We need you to take action on that to make sure that you're in good standing. As we noted, students can take any number of different ways or means in order to reconcile that account and to be in good standing. Many students choose to utilize what we refer to as the installment payment plan. It takes the charges that BGSU has posted to your account for the semester and it splits it into multiple charges or multiple payments over the course of the semester. So for instance, in the fall semester, oftentimes it's an August, September, October, and November first payment. In the spring semester, then it's a January, February, March, and April payment. We are here to be able to help kind of walk you through that process along the way. And then, as we note, it's important to make sure that you're in good standing, given where we are in this beginning, proximity to the start of the semester. We really want to make sure that you're ready to go. Our team will have likely been in touch with you already if we had some concerns about the status of your account. But you're always welcome to stay in touch with us to make sure that we're helping to prepare you and get you the information that you need. As it notes there, if we don't have the payment in good standing before the start of the semester, it could ultimately result in removal of your courses for the fall semester. We don't want that. You don't want that. So let's work together to make sure that we're in good position for you to be prepared for your next steps. Lastly, as we talk about investing in your education, I do want to spend a couple moments talking about something that ultimately proves quite helpful for families and students. Many times for a student, there may be other people in your support group or your kind of support team, your family, for instance, who might be helping you in sharing with that investment. Perhaps it's you and a parent, you and a spouse, you and a partner who might be both contributing towards those costs. Based on federal regulations, we as an institution will only be able to communicate with you, the student. However, if you complete some information for us, this gives us the opportunity to understand individuals with whom you'd like us to be able to communicate, and then that allows us to be able to communicate with them in the same way that we would communicate with you. As it's shown there on the screen, we refer to this as delegating access, and the kind of tree breadcrumbs are there at the top of the screen. It is, like everything else, starting in your MyBGSU account and then moving to your student center. And then as it notes there, you click on profile and then share my information. You can identify and opt in individual or individuals that you'd like, and you can kind of itemize what information you'd like for us to be able to share with that individual. We want to be able to help to support you, and part of that is supporting everybody who is supporting you. My humble request would be go through this process now so that we don't run into a situation where you are completing this at a later time and being kind of slowed in being able to have an inquiry fulfilled because you run into this hiccup where we're asking for this to be completed before we talk to your spouse, we talk to your parent, whoever it might be that might be helping to support you. All right, shifting gears along, let's talk about academic support, getting, making sure that you're ready to be successful in the classroom. And one of the things that I want to talk about here is thinking about kind of your line of support and what those initial lines are, what those secondary lines are, what those kind of tertiary lines or next levels of support can be. And, I put your instructor here first because oftentimes that is the starting point. I think that if you were to talk to our current students and say, if you're running into a concern or a challenge about your time at BGSU in the classroom and you're not sure what to do, I think in most instances, raising your hand with your instructor, both kind of figuratively and literally after class, saying, I don't quite feel comfortable about this course content. I think most instances you're going to hear that instructor really kind of rises to the occasion to want to either sit down with you right then or find a time to be able to help to support you and answer questions that you have or provide that academic support. It's not solely your instructor, though, and as it's outlined there, our campus library, your academic advisor, and our teaching and learning center all have resources that can help to support you to be successful at the university. We go out of our way to do our best to try to identify and predict and intervene in instances where we think you as a student may run into concerns or may struggle. But none of that will ever replace your advocacy, right? Your self-efficacy, your willingness to, again, kind of both figuratively and literally raise your hand and say, hey, I think I need some help. I think I need some support. And we want to make sure that we're there to be able to help to support you every step of the way. And part of that comes with your being proactive and taking advantage of the opportunities that are available for you. I want to talk about the Teaching and Learning Center for a bit more, though, because this is really an important asset and resource that's available for you. On the screen, you'll see two things. One, a very brief, high-level, overly simplified view of some of the resources that the Teaching and Learning Center presents, but also on the right-hand side, a QR code. And that QR code, again, takes you directly to the Teaching and Learning Center's resources, a website that lists the resources a bit further. To spend a few moments looking at it, these are some of the different aspects that the Teaching and Learning Center can provide. So you'll note academic coaching, right? Helping to provide those kind of supports in the way of planning, preparing, determining your best course of action and how to ultimately be a student, right? To be a college student. But as you go down the list there, you'll see it's ranging anywhere from tutoring to proofreading and helping and supporting you formally through some supplemental instruction sessions to informally being available as a resource to be able to kind of spot check things and be a resource for you to help answer questions that you might have. Next on our conversations, I want to spend a few minutes talking about what we refer to as your expectations, rights, and responsibilities of being a student at the university. We take quite seriously the role and the responsibility that we have as a campus and as a university to help to support you. We also will have expectations of you, right? And things that we will expect of you in ways that you'll do your part in helping to make sure that the university is a resource that supports you and helps to nurture your growth and your your classmates' growth. And I want to start by talking a little bit about what you can expect of us and what you as a student can expect of the faculty. Really, as you read some of the things that are here on the screen, I think what's most notable is this concept and this idea of communication, right? That you can expect the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. Who the instructor is, what the instructor is expecting of you, when the instructor expects something to be completed, how you're going to complete that assignment, why the learning materials or outcomes and how those are consistent with the expectations as they're posted on the syllabus. All of the experiences that you can expect from our faculty, you can come with really kind of that overarching theme to know that it's about that communication, right? Conversely, what our faculty will expect of you is communication, right? Engagement in the classroom, attention while you're in class, participation in class. One of the things that I would share with you, and this is kind of a two-way street, as you're thinking about things that you can expect of your faculty and that your faculty can expect of you, is for you to approach your faculty members with the grace that you'd expect your instructor to give you. right? So, as you're thinking about when and how you communicate with instructors and expecting a timely response from our faculty are exceptional about being available to help to support students. But also, I ask you to bring that realistic expectation about what that would look like. If you have an assignment that is due on a Monday morning at 8 a.m., sending the instructor an email at 11 p.m. the evening before may not garner the response or the breadth and depth of a response that you may want. And I can appreciate the sense of urgency that you may have that late Sunday evening prior to that 8 a.m. response. I'd also ask you, though, again, to interpret that in the way that how you would want to be treated, right? And you would not want an instructor to send you an email at 11:30 at night expecting for an assignment to be done at 8 a.m. the next morning. So we are here and we are responsive, and we as a campus community will support one another and support you, and we can work together to make sure that that works along the way. From a student expectation, though, the one item that I do want to make sure that we note is to ensure that you are consistently checking your BGSU email and your Canvas course shells. The university uses your BGSU email as its official means of communication. So those are considered official messages on behalf of the university, from your instructor, from the university. And I say this with humility and respect. If there is a message that is shared with you and it's to your BGSU email, and ultimately, your feedback is, I can't be expected to do that because I didn't check my BGSU email. That is not a valid response, right? We would expect you to be regularly communicating with us via your BGSU email address, and ultimately to be mindful of messages that are sent there and responsive to anything that is sent there. To talk a little bit about, there we go, student rights and responsibilities. And, as noted there, there's a QR code that shares a link to BGSU's codes of conduct. And those codes of conduct include a number of different aspects as it relates to things that you can expect, again, as a student here at the university, and things that we will expect of you while you're here at the university. You'll see there's a number of rights and responsibilities that are outlined there on the screen. I think, again, going to the broader sense of what this means, we want you to be in a safe learning environment. We want you to be able to express yourself, and we want you to be respectful of other individuals who are your classmates who are learning alongside you. That may be learning alongside you in the chair or seat that is next to you in one of our classrooms. It may be learning alongside you in an online experience as you take classes online from the Firelands campus. Regardless, we want to make sure that that atmosphere is conducive for learning and conducive for your success. Along those lines, the university, as a public institution that receives federal funding, ensures the compliance in what is oftentimes referred to as Title IX. Title IX ultimately requires and expects that you as a student are free of discrimination and harassment. As is noted there, there's some very specific language as it relates to that federal compliance. That QR code shares more information about this piece of legislation and how it ultimately supports you as a student. The one item that I do want to make sure that I qualify here or that I emphasize or highlight is that because of our commitment to ensuring that we remain compliant with Title IX and other legislated expectations from the U.S. Department of Education and the federal government, that oftentimes most, and in this case, all BGSU faculty members and most university employees are referred to as mandatory reporters, which means that we must share information that we either observe or are shared with us that may impact students being free from discrimination or harassment. We are trained to support you, as it says there on the screen. We want to make sure that we're helping to support you, and we ask you to, again, be mindful and deliberate about sharing with us any instances where you may not feel that you are being supported as you should. Your success at BGSU is more about just academic success. We want to make sure that we provide available wellness resources and support. You'll see there on the screen a number of different tools and resources that are itemized. The QR code, as you're seeing the theme here, has some additional information for you as it relates to a university website that has some more detailed interactive opportunities to learn a bit more about what it means to be a student at the university. We are intentional about making sure that these are available to you both in person and for those of you who might be taking classes online. And then last but certainly not least, as we think about what the experience for you at BGSU Firelands will be, we want to talk very specifically and very directly about safety. So on our campus in Huron, we are grateful to have the support of the Erie County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has a deputy station on our campus, and the campus is staffed with at least one sheriff's deputy on staff at all times. Beyond that, in the event of an emergency or you need to reach out for emergency services, we'd ask you, like any instance, to call 911. You can do this from your cell phone. You can do it from a classroom phone anywhere on campus. That dispatcher then will help to relay any required resources or the appropriate resources to you. And then you'll see on the QR code, that is a link to the university's